Hey guys, it's exactly 6 p.m. and as you can see, Viktor just got revealed. I'm gonna do a reaction and then I'm gonna review some of the cards that have been shown so far. I'm just gonna give my opinion on them. I don't know what deck he'll go into. I'm gonna guess he has something to do with Augment, but let's just get started.
The time of machines is now. A new era.
Round start. Create a hex core upgrade in hand. You've played 8 plus created cards. Okay.
Technology begins.
Let me improve the quality a little bit here if it's possible at all. Right.
Behold my exquisite creations.
So we've seen most of these cards. Oh. Deal 2 to unit, create a Death Ray MK3 in the top 3 cards of your deck, so you have to draw into them. Okay, is this a hex core? I think it is, right? Because in League he has like his 4 main abilities that he can upgrade. This looks like his laser. Wow, okay. Cool.
New materials, new
Grand Victor, that's so cool! Wait. That's awesome, that's like the Poro.
Humanity needs a leader of superior intellect.
And one with an iron fist.
Okay. I'm ready to see his level 2 form.
We must evolve.
Oh my! What? Your created cards cost 1 less? I mean, that's honestly pretty good. 4 mana, 3/5 now? Interesting. So you don't really play him for the body, you just play him for the constant upgrades and the created cards. This seems super cool for an augment deck. Damn, that level up animation though. Cool. Pick a follower, create a copy of it in hand with +1/+1. This card is so good because this is you create the card you copy will be a created card. Wow, the possibilities with this card. Damn. Okay, I'll talk about that later when I do my actual review. Oh, it's not from hand, but it's from board. Okay, that makes it a little worse, but that's still good. Awesome. That's really cool. What a great way to start off the reveal season. Hey guys, and welcome to the first video for the reveal season, where the first champion just got shown, Viktor, and well, you've just seen my reaction, and now I'm going to do my actual review of the card. I think Viktor is extremely cool. I definitely think he is a card that I would enjoy playing very much, because he is a card that kind of works with generated cards. Like sometimes these cards that you generate are random, like invoking. But it seems that in the Piltover so far, the generated cards are pretty targeted. So that means that you get to choose from a set of cards and create it in your hand. So that means you're not generating completely random cards, unless you go with the University of Piltover, I believe, where you just get 3 random cards and, well, you know, it's kind of a meme card. But Viktor himself just lets you, it doesn't matter what card, it could be a gem, it can be an invoked card, it can be any generated card, and if you played 8 of those, he doesn't even have to be on the field for that, but he can be in your deck while you play 8 of those, and he'll level up. And he synergizes really well with that, because he also has Augment. So he starts as a 2/4, but can rapidly grow his attack, which is, well, it's pretty good. It's not great, I think, because you care a lot more about health than about attack when you have kind of like a value engine of sorts on your bench. I call him a value engine because he creates a hex core upgrade in your hand at every round start, and when he's leveled, your created cards cost 1 less, which can be pretty relevant. We see a mono Targon deck right now with the Mountain Scryer. That's, well, it's a top tier deck. And the cost reduction can actually just make you do some ridiculous things. And invoke cards, on average, when you want to use them to play to win the game, they're pretty expensive. So that 1 mana cost reduction later in the game matters less unless you're setting up a specific combo. But when you do it with Viktor and you have these cheap cards, you're going to be able to dump your entire hand of cheap cards and just combo pieces together and just like have an insane turn, I think. So let's look at the cards, the hex core upgrades that Viktor generates. The hex core upgrade is grant Viktor a random keyword. That actually makes him a lot better than I thought. Because granting Viktor a random keyword, you can do some ridiculous stuff with that. And it's a created card too, so he levels up from that. I think that's really good actually. Makes it pretty fun too. You're just randomly augmenting. Oh, that's another thing. Augment. You get +1 attack on Viktor, and you get a random keyword. It's super interesting. There's so many layers of synergy that I'm not even thinking about here. So the Death Ray, I think that's a pretty. It's actually kind of a good card. You deal 1 for 1 mana, you deal 2 for 2 mana, you deal 3 for 3 mana. The thing is, you're gonna have to use this in a pretty draw-heavy deck because you don't want to like pollute your draws with a card like this. I guess this doesn't count as a created card either, because you draw it from your deck. Not sure if that's true. I don't know if Yetis are created cards either. I guess they are, but it really depends on how Runeterra decides to code it, I guess. I'm gonna assume that they are created cards though, because they all synergize with Viktor, which makes the most sense. I actually don't think that the Death Ray is playable in a Viktor deck or in an Augment deck because it has to deal one damage to a unit, and I think Viktor is more of a aggressive type champion, like a kind of a burn deck with like 1 threatening unit. We'll see though. I'm definitely there's so many synergies that I can think of with Viktor that I wouldn't be surprised to see him end up in more than 1 single deck. Also, his card art is absolutely gorgeous. This is a card I'm going to love playing with, and I'm glad that Piltover gets a design like this, because the region has been kind of boring for me lately. It doesn't really do anything super, like, unique, I guess. It's more of a glue for other regions. It's like, oh, I need some removal. Well, let's put in Piltover for Mystic Shot, get excited, maybe an Ezreal. Another card that got revealed is the Iterative Improvement. Pick a follower, create a copy of it in hand with +1/+1. So this is the card I saw in the reveal video. I'm very excited for this card actually. It's like a nice little way to generate some value in your hand. And just imagine using this on a Yeti. For 2 mana you get a 6/6 1 mana Yeti. That's a 3 mana play. It's kind of like Tall Tales. I could just imagine a turn 6, or doesn't really add up as turn 6 I guess, maybe a turn 4. Where you play the Trapper, and then you top deck the Yeti. You play the Yeti for 1 mana. You play Iterative Improvement. You play the other Yeti as a 6/6, and then you play Tall Tales. You just put 2 5/5s and a 6/6 on the board. I'm kind of thinking in the direction of Freljord for some reason, but there's so many different takes on this card you can do. I'm very excited for it. I think this might be good in the Viktor deck even. Now that I think about it, Viktor's probably going to be pretty good in a Poro deck too. It just seems like some pretty natural synergy with all the created cards. And then you have like Viktor as a super Poro bot. Another card that got revealed 2 days ago, I believe, is the Mechanized Mimic. That was the first card that got revealed to announce the new expansion. She has Augment, 5 mana 3/4. Attack, grant me all keywords on allies. This is actually pretty hilarious with Viktor, because Viktor can get so many keywords, and then you just copy them all with this Mechanized Mimic. There's going to be a lot of different applications for this card too. It's kind of like a mini Give-It-All. That's funny too, like just imagine copying some cards with this, and then having Give-It-All to get even more random keywords on your entire board. I love this direction that Piltover and Zon is taking, by the way, with the random keywords you can generate. It's really, really cool. Because it's like, it's random in a way, and I love random effects. Like, I want every game to feel different. That's why I like Casino so much, for example, with a slot bot. Just that high roll potential really excites me. But what I do want is for that RNG to be targeted, which is what Runeterra does perfectly. You're not going to randomly lose to a card that was impossible to account for, with the exception of the University of Piltover, I guess, because that card can actually do some crazy stuff, but there's also a downside because you have to discard your hand. So with this targeted randomness, it's like Invoke 2. You can select from a few cards. Usually it says discover or invoke a card that costs 7 or more, or invoke a card that costs 3, 4, or 5 mana. Or no, wait, it's 4, 5, or 6 mana, sorry. So you know exactly what the opponent might get, and that gives you a set of options to play around. And it's the same with keywords. You know there's a keyword this card's gonna get. It's not like you're gonna get a completely random card in hand. So whatever the keyword is, you'll be able to play around it as soon as you see it. And so I think Mechanized Mimic is fun. It'll be fun to play with. But the problem I see here is that you have to attack with her to actually get all the keywords. So unless you have a elusive, there's a high chance that your opponent just trades into it and kills her, even if she has like 10 different keywords. If elusive isn't one of them, it's going to be hard to attack. Next is the Calculated Creations. Create a armed gearhead, neandroid, or ballistic bot in hand. 2 mana burst. So the ballistic bot is a 2 mana 1/3. Round start create an ignition in hand. Ignition is deal 1 to the enemy nexus for 1 mana. Armed Gearhead is a 1 mana 1/1 with augment and quick attack. And Neandroid is a 1/3 for 3 mana with augment and elusive. This is kind of hard to go over, but let's just do the 1 mana Armed Gearhead first. I think this card's pretty bad, just to get that out of the way. If you play this on turn 1, the quick attack doesn't really do that much. I mean, it can do something against like the bird, the Fleet Feather Tracker, for example. But on turn 2, I don't think you're going to be generating any cards. I think it takes a while before you can actually play cards that create cards. So I don't even see this going to like 5 attack or something, and even then it just has quick attack. It's kind of reminiscent of Sparring Student, I believe the name is, that gains attack and health every time you summon a unit and then goes back to normal. Card doesn't really see a lot of play except maybe in some elusive decks. But even then, it's never really like back-breaking for the opponent. It's like when it's a 1/1, you just ping it. This will always have 1 HP, so I just don't see it being very good. Then next is the Ballistic Bot. Round start, create an ignition in hand. I think this one is actually really, really good. It has augment 2 and 1/3, like 3 health on a 2-drop. You play one of the ignitions and it's a 2/3, and then you already have like a vanilla minion basically that still creates value at the round start. And with Viktor, you can actually level him pretty fast too if you just spend 1 mana to deal 1 to the enemy nexus, which is not irrelevant either. I think this is a good card. The fact that it like enables augment too is great. So I can definitely see this being played in not just Viktor decks, but many more decks than that. And then lastly, the Neandroid. This is probably the best one of the 3. This card can be really scary, just because it has elusive and it can grow its attack stat. You remember the 3/3 Otter, the Trickster, I believe, from Targon that you can invoke? You can, if you could put that in your deck, everybody would do it. And now with Piltover, I guess you can, because you only need to play 2 augment cards, and it'll be a 3/3 for 3 mana with elusive. And that will only grow as you play generated cards. Like with the Ballistic Bot, this will grow by 1 every turn, and you'll do 1 to the enemy nexus. I think burn decks might make somewhat of a comeback because of this card. I mean, it's a cool looking card, so at least there's that. I'm not a big fan of elusives, but I'm happy this card exists. I think it's cool. I think Piltover could use some love and could use like a dedicated archetype for them. This card could help with that. And then finally, here's the Calculated Creations, which lets you choose one of these 3 cards. I think that's good. Now they're also a created card because of this. So, nice little way to add value, add a card to your hand. And the fact that you can choose just makes it even better. It's not random. You just pick the one you need, which will almost always be the Neandroid, I'm gonna guess, and sometimes the Ballistic Bot. So, seems good. 2 mana, add a card to your hand. Playable. And for some reason, Piltover gets another landmark, but this one seems actually pretty good and not meme at all. Hexcore Foundry, 3 mana landmark, round start, all players draw 1. All players. This seems so good in Sejuani Teemo. I would play this card there every time because that deck actually lacks card draw, and that's exactly what this does. And it's No, it is an upside for your opponent, but they're also going to be drawing into shrooms, so just seems good. Maybe this is even playable in Casino. Like you play a blue card with Twisted Fate, and then starting with the next round, he's already going to be at 3 out of 8. It's definitely a downside when you play this card in the wrong deck. But with a Sejuani Teemo, a Casino deck, even Burn. Now, I don't actually think Burn wants to spend 3 mana doing nothing. But just getting that additional card draw, it's going to be very relevant. And I can see this finding its home in some dedicated deck, for sure. And then lastly, we have Aftershock. 4 mana slow spell, deal 3 to anything or destroy a landmark. When I saw this card, I was like 4 mana, deal 3 slow speed. That's not very good. But it says to anything. And you also get the added versatility to destroy a landmark. That makes it fantastic. I think this is a super sleeper card. Or well, I don't know at this point if people are sleeping on it. But from my perspective, it didn't seem very good at first. But thinking about it, this is going to go in almost every Piltover deck, I think. The versatility to deal 3 to anything to either close out a game or destroy a landmark. It's so desirable to have a card like this. Even though it's 1 more mana than a Get Excited and it's slow. For a mid-range or control deck, that doesn't really matter that much. I mean, I know I'm saying mid-range, but just imagine a Draven Ezreal deck. They would love this so much. This is better than Scorched Earth for that deck, I think, too. So, great card. Overall, all the cards that have been shown so far are actually extremely exciting. Most excited for Viktor, obviously, but you know how it is with champion cards. I just can't get that level up animation out of my head. As soon as I'm done with this video, I'm gonna be watching that again and again and again. But for now, I hope you guys are enjoying Runeterra. I hope you're looking forward to the Cosmic Creation expansion. And I hope you look forward to my video too. So, I'll see you next time.